Hello everybody, welcome back to another character analysis episode. And today for this character analysis video, I'm going to be covering Dennis, the lazy diesel from Thomas & Friends. So, let's give some background info on Dennis. Dennis was a character introduced in the Thomas & Friends TV series in the show's 9th season in the episode Thomas's Day Off. And Dennis last appeared in the 2008 movie known as The Great Discovery, in which for Dennis's personality, Dennis is considered to be a very lazy diesel engine who tries to take advantage of others and depend upon them to do his work instead. Dennis will often create excuses to get out of work and is infamous for the fact that unlike most of the engines on Sodor, he does not make an effort to be really useful and slacks off on a regular basis. As a result of his laziness, he is unpopular with the engines, but they are forgiving enough to let him redeem himself, depending on how motivated he really is. He usually gets caught in his lies and always says sorry, but whatever or not, he means it in the question. So for the plot of Dennis's first episode, that being Thomas's Day Off. In the episode, a new engine, that being Dennis, arrives on Sodor to help out with work on one of the branch lines, and Thomas, who was supposed to have his day off that day, has to work with Dennis so that Dennis knows what to do. But whilst Thomas is away, Dennis slacks off and doesn't do his work. And ultimately, Dennis ends up getting involved into an accident, and then Dennis apologizes and goes back and does his work and redeems himself. And that's basically the episode. So, and Dennis is one of my favorite hit era new characters. As his debut episode is one of the better written episodes of the hit era. And despite the episode not focusing on not entirely focusing on Dennis, Dennis does get a very nice character arc in the episode. Although I feel like this episode would have been better if that. I feel like this episode would have been better if they used Daisy instead of Thomas. Mainly since Daisy used to be lazy, just like Dennis. For Dennis's appearances in the series, he only appeared in the season 9 episode Thomas's Day Off, as well as making some cameos in various episodes in season 9 and season 10. And then Dennis was completely absent in season 11, and then returned to The Great Discovery. And Dennis was also planned to appear in the 2011 movie Day of the Diesels, but Dennis was dropped from the movie in favor of a new character, that being Norman, who shares the same design as him. And he also appeared in the season 10 music video There's Always Something New, as well as in 2 learning segments. The first one being Diesels and Steamers, as well as the second one being Neville and Dennis from Thomas's Favorite Friends. So yeah, that's all to Dennis in terms of characters, in terms of character and appearance. Dennis honestly kind of reminds me of Patrick Star from SpongeBob, as both Dennis and Patrick are both lazy and can both be dim-witted at times. Now onto how I would fix Dennis's character. For Dennis's debut episode, I would flesh out Dennis's character more and have the episode be more better written. And as I mentioned earlier, I would replace Thomas with Daisy, the diesel rail car, as both Daisy and Dennis are both characters that both used to be lazy and stuck up, but eventually both characters eventually learn and stop being lazy, and I feel like a dynamic between both Daisy and Dennis would have been really nice to see. And I would give Daisy and Dennis sort of like an older sister, younger brother type dynamic. For how I would also give Dennis some more episodes to flesh his character out, such as I would rewrite Thomas Tries His Best and replace Thomas with Dennis, mainly so that Thomas isn't out of character and so that Dennis has another spotlight role, as I feel like the role of Thomas in this episode would have worked better with someone like Dennis. I would also rewrite Thomas and the Treasure and replace Thomas with Dennis, as the episode of Thomas and the Treasure revolves around Thomas abandoning his job to go look for something, and I feel like that would honestly be more in character for Dennis to do, as seen in his debut episode when Dennis abandons his job and acts lazy. I would also rewrite the season 11 episode Thomas in the Lighthouse and replace Thomas with, as you guessed, Dennis, mainly to give Dennis another episode and show another side to Dennis's character, showing that Dennis is more ego-headed and overconfident side. And I would also rewrite Percy and the Left Luggage and replace Percy with Dennis, as seen in this edit I found made by A Sodor Life, mainly so that Percy isn't out of character in this episode, as well as showing Dennis's more kind and naive side. And I would also make an episode about Dennis in season 12 where Dennis pulls the express whilst Gordon's having an overhaul. And I would have Dennis return in the CGI series too. And when Norman is introduced in Day of the Diesels, I would also give Dennis and Norman a dynamic. Since both Dennis and Norman are both based upon the same class of engine, that being the British Railway 11001 class diesel locomotive. And so yeah, that's how I would have handled Dennis. If you like this character analysis video, then go subscribe to my channel and go check out my content. Anyways, that's been the end of this character analysis video. Bye.